All right, hello, folks. Welcome to this week's Story Shack movie review critique. Do you prefer review or critique? We kind of do both, right?
I prefer...
Okay, no preference then. Just kidding.
Yeah, pretty much.
You hesitated too long. Anyways, this week's movie is Mrs. Doubtfire, starring Robin Williams and Sally Field. Great actress, too.
Yeah.
Didn't she win something for another... Is it that Lincoln movie? Wasn't she in that?
She was in Lincoln, but I don't think
Daniel
she won for
Day-Lewis,
that.
I think it was that.
She won for something. I don't
Yeah,
remember. I don't think it was this.
No, yeah, I don't know if they're... That'd be an interesting thing to look up, though. I might do that in the background while we're talking. Look up what it got.
Well, lay the thermometer on me.
You want the thermometer?
Yeah.
Radio? Okay, do you want to guess?
Yes,
like you did for the last one?
Hold on.
Could you try to remember that for all of these this month? So
I'm going to go 90s or above for both.
Okay. All right, so Mrs. Doubtfire came out in 1993. The Rotten Tomatoes score comes in fresh still, technically. However, the audience score is a 77%.
What?
I know. I'd have to go back and look at when some of these reviews were.
Yeah, somebody's fudging those numbers.
The critic score is 72.
What?
Even though I know. I thought the same thing. That was as of, I think I looked.
They've seen the movie, right?
Yeah, I'm going to bring it up again because the description feels fitting. You know, they give like a one or two sentence kind of synopsis. What are they? Consensus? Like the idea here. I could read more too. Basically says, on paper, Mrs. Doubtfire might seem excessively broad or sentimental, but Robin Williams shines so brightly in the title role that the end result is difficult to resist. So, yeah, I mean, it kind of sounds like, oh, yeah, it's good, but, like, you know, it's too sentimental or something. I'm like, what? I don't know. I would just disagree. I'd push back a little bit on that, so... Yeah, I was a little disappointed. I was like, what?
Yeah. Well, I mean, all right. I saw this movie when I was 4 or 5. Mm-hmm. And back then it was the guy dresses up like an old woman and is trying to get his kids and does cartoon voices in the beginning. And he's just a funny guy. Now as an adult, like, it is a little crazy. It's a little outlandish. But it's done grounded for the most part. Like, everything makes sense about it. He gets the outfit from his brother who works in special effects. Mm-hmm. He's doing it because he wants to spend more time with his kids.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense. Despite how outlandish it may seem.
Mm-hmm. I think we've seen way too many furtherly outlandish movie ideas. Like, maybe that's why. And then also the nostalgia factor, which some of these people are.
I definitely have some nostalgia factor for.
Yeah, I might have that. And I feel like every generation has some of that because that's why they kind of sit with it's the reason why I still like 90s and 2000s music, you know?
Right.
But I do like newer stuff too. It's not like I'm like, oh, these kids these days.
Right.
I may have said that about one or two things actually. But that aside, I've heard millennials are more nostalgic, I feel like.
Yeah.
I don't, which I could see that.
Because things were better back then.
Exactly. Oh no, we're doing it.
Oh God.
I got some prune juice in the fridge if you want.
Yeah. As soon as my knee lets me get up, I'll go grab some.
Man, what are we doing here again?
Yeah.
Or we're talking stuff. Right.
So I had a thought, but I can't remember what it was. Oh, it's outlandish and it's crazy that, you know, a dad would go through this to see his kids.
Yeah.
But I mean, I get it.
Yeah, I understand. I'm a dad now too, so that's the thing. I think this might be my first time watching it since having Joel. Mm-hmm. I think. So, another thing where it's kind of changed the way I look at it, because I'm like, if I was in that position, I can understand. I'm pretty law abiding though. I like to think anyways. And so I think there's something with the whole, when they're going through the courts and stuff, if she the first time, did she technically get awarded custody and that's why he just had the once a week, and it was like a wait and see just so he gets his job?
Yeah, it was a wait and see, and then the lady was going to come by Mondays and Fridays or whatever.
Yeah, but does that mean he can't ever see his kids? It's not like a restraining order. But
no,
I know
he would see him. It would just be like scheduled visits.
Right. So, but then outside of that, that's what I'm saying, is like technically being Mrs. Doubtfire, he went outside of that. So is it, I guess that's why he didn't get arrested, but the judge finally had to question, or are you actually kind of crazy? And I'm like, okay, I guess.
Here's a question that's been bugging me about it.
Yeah.
So, okay, they stay divorced. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't realize that when I was a kid, when I watched it before, that, oh no, they completely stay divorced.
Oh, I also thought in the beginning of the movie that they were already separated and this was the last straw. Like they were actually separated. I forgot that was the I want the divorce thing too.
Right.
Go ahead.
What did he do with all the money? She was paying like $300 a week to Mrs. Doubtfire, right?
Right, yeah.
So did he keep that money? What did he do with that money?
He mentioned he had 2 jobs. So
well, yeah, but like courts, you're just taking money from your ex-wife to watch your kids. Like, what did he do with the money?
Anymore. I mean, if my wife was trying to divorce me and
that's true,
trying to make me, not make me, but I was like, oh, I'll watch them. I don't know. I know it's weird. You're right. There's a moral gray area there of, but my thought was he was spending it the whole time because he needed the money.
Right.
But you're right. He was just
he had a job. Yeah, he was taking her money.
That was his job. I don't know. I guess it's not any different than if my wife stayed home and she needed money and I was the only one working. Obviously, he also had another job that was part-time.
You know what? He's a good dad. Let's say he started a bank account, their college fund.
There you go. Yeah, maybe.
There you go.
Yeah.
His way of sneaking that money in there. I was just curious because that dude was getting paid to do that.
Yeah, the thing that always boggles my mind is, for us, it's like I can't picture having to also pay for an apartment.
Yeah.
Like I would need 3 jobs.
Yeah. For
sure.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we can barely afford what we got.
Yeah.
And if we also had to pay a second, I'm like, what? so that's my point on that is I would be taking all that money to pay for an apartment.
All right.
$300 a week. And then if that was the 90s, it's probably okay. And then what sounded like it might have been pretty high. I felt like he had a reaction in there. I don't know. Actually, that is kind of high because I feel like $500 a week now would be pretty good. It's not too bad. Probably like, wow. All right. I just talked myself into being like, if I was 1993 Robin Williams dad going through a divorce, I'd take the extra $300 a week. Perfect. Yeah. Great. All right.
Why not?
I don't see anything wrong with that. He's making a living.
I mean, she's an architect or something,
or interior designer. I couldn't tell.
Designer. Yeah, she's got money. She's fine.
Because they talked about like the layout of the house.
Right.
That feels like interior design or something. It could be some sort of
so here's another thing I really like about this movie that I didn't realize. Mm-hmm. Pierce Brosnan is not a bad guy.
No, he wasn't.
There's nothing about him that he's not like, he's not a dick to the kids. Yeah. He says some shit about the ex-husband, but
for a second, wouldn't? From his perspective too.
Exactly.
I think that's true.
And like,
get it from her.
He's great with the kids. He's,
makes it that much more for like Robin Williams' character.
And then even when he finds out at the restaurant, like they still shake hands. Like, he stopped him from choking. Like,
yeah.
Also, why did he like? Now I don't know a lot.
Why did he save him?
No, I don't know a lot about allergies and stuff. but he's allergic to pepper.
Yeah.
So he eats it, he starts swelling up, and then as soon as it's gone, like, he's fine?
Yeah, I thought about that. Maybe it's a mild allergy. That's pretty, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's not, because I always figured it was he can't handle the pepper, at least. Maybe he's allergic to slightly even. And I don't want to say he was swelling up. I think he just legitimately choked on it because he was surprised by the pepper. That's just how I always pictured it.
Okay. No, that makes sense.
And then getting it out, if it's mild, he's probably fine. But you're right. If it was a severe one, because that's the thing is when it's severe, you really want to make sure they don't put anything on there.
Right.
No, I'd even say, like, we have a neighbor who their kids have peanut allergy, but she knows it's mild enough, but it's like a pain for them to have it because then they get itchy or whatever they have for that.
Hives
you can just
ruin your week.
You don't want to deal with it, so you would say that, like, oh, hey, unless he said I'm deathly or highly allergic, which I don't think he did. I think he just said I'm allergic, so it could be.
Yeah.
It could also just mean he doesn't like pepper.
That's true.
Because I've had that where we're like, you say you don't want something, but someone's like, why wouldn't you want that? You get a weird look. You just say, hey, I'm allergic to this. Don't give me it. And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I freak out whenever bees are around because I hate bees. And anytime somebody's like, what's your fucking deal? I go, yeah, I'm allergic. I'm not allergic to bees. I just don't want to get stung by a bee.
In your head, you're allergic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there is a bit of a...
that was a weird tangent.
Yeah, there is
we're recording this.
There is a setup and payoff through it. It's a little one that I saw. I'm sure there are more.
I think it was a very well crafted movie, like from beginning to end.
Absolutely.
It's another 2-hour movie, which I didn't remember, and that one goes fast.
So in the very beginning of the movie, when he's doing voiceover stuff, he gets fired because the morals of the cartoon and having the animated bird smoke, he just wouldn't stand for it. At the very end of the movie, he's in a very morally good, wholesome kids education program.
Yep. Where he then lights up a cigar and starts smoking.
Yeah.
Just kidding. That's not in
that doesn't happen.
That's not.
Or does it?
No, it's very...
Check out the movie.
No. I mean, I only saw however many episodes each show.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. I always remember that beginning scene as a kid was just funny to me.
Yeah.
And I think the last time I saw it a while ago, it was a little different. And now there's the smoking thing. I didn't realize that that's why he stopped working. I thought he was just being difficult and they fired him. He's
a guy that he's playful. He's one of the kids, he likes kids. He wants to, he's just a good dad, a good guy when it comes to that kind of stuff. And, I think that really plays out through his character. And it also gives more motivation as to why he would go to such, crazy lengths to be with his kids.
I think it's a really, really good role for Robin Williams.
Oh, yeah.
And then for Miranda, his wife, mentioning kind of it's crazy how they only give so much, but they give more than some movies do of the background on her perspective on their relationship.
I think
because it makes you kind of relate or understand her perspective.
Yeah.
It's not about being right or wrong. It's he has his view on things and didn't know that she would want a divorce, and then she really did because she felt like this, but then also never really communicated it that much.
And she's able to communicate it to Mrs. Doubtfire, who is in fact her husband.
Yes.
Who is realizing all of these things that he didn't realize before.
Yeah.
And I think it helps him accept that,
yes,
this is the divorce. This is what's happening.
I think that's what makes us more willing to be like, oh, it's okay that he dressed up weird and was lying the whole time, basically putting on this false facade, technically, because we're like, well, but he's kind of growing through it and learning stuff that had that not been there, that's the medium, right? He and she would not have experienced the same way. She, because she could have had that same talk with someone who is like her, but she may never have either. So she's learning things maybe, or at least able to express things now, like you said, communicate. And then he's able to kind of internalize it. And it's good because if he was him, actual Daniel, he probably would have responded differently or in jest and stuff and all that, which he kind of does his little ones here and there as her.
Right.
But but it kind of forces him to have to listen a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know? So it also makes us more willing to be like, yeah, I think it's fine that he did that.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
No, I agree.
Stop arguing with me.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Just kidding.
I'm now going to change. Oh, my sister from England is here. Talk to you. And
Danny! there's so many good lines too. I'm going through some of these reviews. This is a critic review. He gave it a 10 out of 10. It's just, I find it very interesting. It says, a somewhat grotesque take on Mary Poppins. This picture has an attitude and style all on its own. That's just, they give you like one line. You can read the full review. Mm-hmm. But I'm just like, that's an interesting, like they grotesque take on Mary Poppins. Yeah.
So reading the IMDb trivia, they would do scenes a couple times. They do it once or twice scripted, and then they'd let Robin Williams kind of improvise and do whatever he wanted. So they have, or so says the director. I don't think they ever actually like edited anything together, but there's like a PG version, a PG-13 version, an R version, and an NC-17 version
of this movie. Just based on how they would edit it with Robin Williams and some of the things he said. Oh, yeah, I could see that.
Because I mean,
I've seen his stand-up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny because I was going through a site just like to see if there are any other insights. Usually when I go through that stuff, I don't really come up with anything that I pull from. It's a lot of off the top of my head, but I'm just curious sometimes. And it had mentioned, it was one of those things where it tells you like as an adult and then tells you what things are appropriate. And it said there was one F-bomb, one fuck in there. And I was like, what? There is? And then I heard it. It's when he's going through the kitchen, but he like yells it kind of, I think it was him or maybe someone. I don't know if you remember it. I don't think it was anywhere else.
I gotta look this up.
But it's a PG-13. You can do like one or two of those.
Right.
And I was like, no, there wasn't. I can't remember. I was just telling my wife that there's only a couple times there's some cursing, I think, which there really wasn't too much. It says bastard, I think the most, which is like 4 or 5 times. But yeah, I think it's when he's going through the kitchen. Right. Because he like does pepper and then like moves something. I don't remember if I don't remember. I'm sorry. Are you trying to find it?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it hurt, but it sounds like it's kind of among all of the noise in the background.
Right.
Is the thing. It's kind of masked, I think. But I never knew that was in there. And I'd watched that movie too when I was pretty young.
Nudity?
Yeah, but then you go to like, I remember the movie Some Like It Hot. Like we watched that in some of my film classes, or for one of them, I think. And that's another like cross-dressing movie from, did you ever see that? Mm-mm. Yeah, okay. The reason why I remembered it is it was in the Wikipedia for Mrs. Doubtfire, I think. Critical reception. At the time of its release, several critics compared Mrs. Doubtfire unfavorably with Some Like It Hot, 1959. It's 2 guys that I might butcher, but it's like a romantic comedy. And Marilyn Monroe's in it. And they basically follow this girl. It's Marilyn Monroe. I forget why they dress up. Or are they on the run or something? It's some weird thing like that. Prohibition era. They work at a speakeasy. Police raid the joint and they escape. They witness this like killing from the gangster guy.
So yeah, Robin Williams, Mrs. Doubtfire. Great movie. Really enjoy it. Not very different from, any of his other movies. He's always just the cheery, insightful. Like, he's really good at playing the humor and the drama and switching seamlessly between the two. I think it's a really brilliant scene where he's at the Bridges restaurant with Miranda having her birthday and him having the meeting with the guy, and just kind of the back and forth of, we knew he was going to get caught. We just didn't know how. And that's a very classic sitcom way to do it, when you just kind of double book yourself.
Yeah.
I like how this producer guy was so booked up, but could easily say, come have dinner with me on Friday night, and not have to check with the secretary or anything about it.
Yeah, that's a good little hole. Another one that's being pointed out here in the review, because I'm going over it, is the, finding work. And he gets employed as a shipping clerk. And he puts in here, this is necessary for plot purposes, I guess. Otherwise, why would a skilled and experienced voice actor not be able to make more money in his original field? And I don't know what it's like to really be a voice actor, but they usually do hundreds of voices. So I guess there'd be something out there.
Right.
But what's to say, like she said, he's been between jobs forever, that obviously we know he's skilled, but is he skilled in this world? Is he like, maybe there's something we just don't know?
That's true.
I don't know.
Mean, you
I feel like that's going too much.
You also have to look at the location. They're in San Francisco.
Yeah, San Francisco.
So it's not LA. It's not some big voiceover hub.
Texas was pretty big for anime voiceovers for a while, I believe. I don't know if it still is.
So and like he could be dubbing a foreign title, which would explain why the bird is smoking.
Yeah, that's true too.
So
it could be like a PB, like a local access show too. That might need, maybe that's why it's San Fran.
Because he's definitely working at like a public access station. Because I feel like all the film reels and stuff he have are like public domain kind of stuff. The old classics that, they bring in, they show, and then they ship back out.
Yeah.
One thing so the really boring guy, when he goes up and is listening to that guy plays the mailman.
Oh yeah.
I didn't realize that before.
That's right.
So he still has a role.
Definitely. Just quickly touch on themes and we can wrap it up.
Okay.
All right. We already kind of mentioned the divorce thing. But are you a child of divorce?
I'm an adult of divorce. My parents didn't get divorced until I was in my 20s.
Oh, I was 18. They stayed together. My dad's, whatever. I won't go into that. Basically, I was an adult, so it kind of didn't matter anymore. I don't know. My wife she was 12 when they divorced, but I know I feel like that was a big topic for a while in the 90s of like divorced families. Yeah.
Because it was going against the norm. Like we had the cookie cutter houses. Back then, you didn't.
1950s, it was wife and 2.5 kids, right?
Yeah. You didn't get divorced. You
stuck it out,
or just got another family a couple towns over.
Yeah, that costs a lot more money though too. So it depends on.
Well, if you got two jobs.
Oh yeah. So divorce and the effect on the kids. It's kind of sad to see. I think they did a good job of portraying that. I think touching on the subject, like the material itself, I feel like was good. I know it's a wacky thing, but
those kids are definitely going to need some therapy.
I mean, I don't even remember if this was a divorced family, but I think it might have been a single mom. But whatever is that? Like, I love Dwayne Johnson, but wasn't he the one in that Tooth Fairy movie?
Yeah.
It's like just think about those kids' movies in the 2000s that just got so ridiculous.
Yeah.
I guess maybe that's why this isn't rotten. It's not like a 20%. It's like a 70, but I would at least put in like 80s, low 80s if I was going to be critical of it.
Right.
And some people technically did. It's an overall rating and stuff, whatever. But
right.
I keep going back to the ratings. So theme, divorce. I think communication, like how we talked about.
Yeah.
Was important, which we talked about for Dead Poet Society. So I wonder if like family and communication.
Yeah, I never really
popular thing. Robin.
That's what I like about this podcast is because when we talk about it, I realize things about it that I didn't realize before, and the fact that they again didn't communicate in their relationship, and the only way that he can listen and the only way that she can say it is if there's this third person, Mrs. Doubtfire, that's, in place of him and also in place of him. You know, he's
Yeah.
able to ask the questions that he wants the answers to without, you know, the fear of him being the one asking it. And it also allows him, you know, the freedom to listen and absorb what she's saying rather than, you know, he's playing a role, and his role is that he has to listen to this, and that helps him kind of not be Daniel.
Yeah.
It helps to get outside of himself in order to be able to reflect on it.
Yeah, I could see that. Something to do with the kids or
Oh, they're gonna need therapy.
wholesome education or not that, just upbringing,
Yeah.
discipline, but the right kind. It almost, because they were pushing back. And then, do you think, by the way, when on that first day when he made them do chores and then homework, like that seemed to set the tone, right, for how she was going to run that basically the daycare that she provides,
Right.
Or do you think that was him trying to be so harsh that it wouldn't work and she'd almost be forced to, like, no, I don't know, because then she'd go either look for someone else or maybe turn to Daniel. I don't know what his goal was, or if he was actually trying to be like, no, I'm gonna make sure they stay in line. I really don't know what the motivation was there. I don't know if it's really explicit.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Thoughts, though, because then the kids kind of straighten up a little bit and then kind of respect that at least,
Right.
And I don't know if he ever would have done that not as her,
Right.
But he was able to do it, so
Right.
he had it in him. Yeah, there's a lot to it, I feel
Yeah.
like. But, and you already kind of touched on it with the him taking a stance against the smoking, you know, setting a good example for the kids.
Right.
Maybe that's kind of the theme of setting the example and making sure that they're important too.
Yeah.
Especially when it ties back to divorce, right? Because sometimes kids feel like it's their fault,
Right.
which is sad.
Yeah.
It really isn't.
No.
But you don't realize your parents are just people until you're an adult.
Right.
I think. So as a kid, you don't know that, but then once you're an adult, you'll realize it. But then you've already internalized all this crap that's gone on through, like, if you went through a divorce and all that. So yeah, so I'll leave that at that. I have a couple things.
Yeah.
Well, let's say 3. Did you have anything to say or add to that before I ask
No.
my other 2 things?
No, I'm gold. Lay it on me.
I liked your idea of thinking about for Dead Poet Society, but for this one, what happened to them afterwards, like later down the line for the different characters. And my other thing I was just thinking is I kind of want to know what was, like, just pick one. What was your favorite moment or thing from the movie? Could be a funny scene, quote, could be a sentimental moment too, or whatever.
Oh boy.
I know there's probably quite a few. I have a handful.
So I feel like Miranda and Stu eventually reconcile and get together. I think it's going to take Stu a little bit because of everything that just happened. They're definitely staying divorced, but that's definitely how it has to be. Like, it's just one of those, they gave it a go, it didn't work, but they're staying, I don't think the word's decent. They're being pleasant to each other, and, they've kind of made their peace with it through this experience. And, they're having a relationship for the kids so that the kids aren't, torn up by it. Daniel probably got syndicated and has gone nationwide with Mrs. Doubtfire.
He's popular and he makes millions now.
Yeah. And the kids are all snotty brats.
Yeah. Snotty. Nobody learned anything, really.
Yeah, nobody learned anything. They definitely had some therapy.
Money.
Or that's like a college. What's the weirdest thing ever happened to your family? Oh, let me tell you.
Well, my dad wasn't always my dad. I don't know. Yeah.
And then what was the other question you asked?
Oh, did you have like a favorite?
Oh, favorite moment.
Or at least
for some reason, the little Natalie saying, "We're his goddamn kids too," just keeps playing in my head for some reason.
In my head. Nice.
I mean, it's hard to just pick one.
For me, it always sticks in my head is the one he shows his face in the cake and then the cream stripping off his face into the tea. Just, I don't know why that's like the iconic image in my head for it. There are other things I like in the movie, some of the sentimental things and those moments.
Yeah, definitely the courtroom scenes are rough.
Yeah, those are rough. Oh, I know the one where his two older kids find out that he's Mrs. Doubtfire because there's like a moment where, his daughter's like, Dad, and then actually hugs him, and then it's like kind of touching. Yeah. And then the son's kind of like a little weird about it, but he also voices like, I'm not ready yet kind of thing.
Like, it's fine, but we're not there yet.
Yeah. So it's a guy thing, I guess. Yeah. Which I think is so funny because all that stuff, the way we view that, and then we go into gender a little bit, but that some of that's changing, like the way we think about it.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of stuff just is always evolving.
Yeah.
And changing.
Agreed.
And I kind of like that because it almost feels like that movie for me, there's a stigma to it, but it does almost feel kind of representative, not like 100%, but I feel like it was taken very jokingly.
Yeah.
A long time ago, and that's why there's the comedic effect to it for this movie. But
I don't think that it has anything to do with like, there's nothing hurtful in the way that they portray it.
Right. That's what I would think.
Yeah.
It's they're not taking a stance on it. It's not like a political thing too, because I feel like a lot of stuff nowadays is raging politics behind it, but which is probably why I can't help but at least think about that aspect. It's just there's nothing menacing about it. It's a story about a father and his kids going through a divorce and all that, like we already kind of talked about. That's kind of just part of it. I think that's all I had on that, and we're gonna end on that.
What's the next movie we're doing?
Oh yeah, thank you. Oh man, I'm gonna mess it up. I think it's 96. Yeah, 1996. So because I was doing it chronologically for the movies, because I'm the one.
Ooh, I think I remember what one it is.
Yeah. What you want to say it? You want to guess?
Yeah. Is it Birdcage?
Yeah, Birdcage, okay. 1996. I only watched it, I think, one time before.
Me too.
Or I should say, it was, I think, 2 different sittings, because I remember watching a part of it, being like, this movie's crazy. I didn't know about it. It was probably when I was a teenager, too. So I didn't know it was that old. I thought it was a 2000s movie.
Yeah.
Like 2000, but 96. So I'd like to see the beginning to end.
Yeah.
One more time.
Well, come join us at the Story Shack for Birdcage next week.
Yeah. And take care, get home safe, watch out for squirrels out there in the woods. And are we forever trapped in the shack, or do we get to leave? Because I haven't found my way out yet.
You haven't found the way out yet? Have you been sleeping here?
Is
that what that smell is? There's a bathroom, Zach.
Yeah, it got clogged. I didn't have the right. I'm not a plumber. I can't. I'm going to go take a nap. Okay. All right.
You're just going to.
Okay. I'm walking away now.
Okay. I'm going home to a home.